Purple Daily is daily Vikings entertainment. We just want the Vikings to win a Super Bowl before we die.
I will ride with this group.
Seriously, man. Please.
And away we go.
And a happy Black Monday to you and yours, to all who celebrate. The Jaguars celebrate Black Monday
do.
almost
They
every
do.
year, don't they?
Yep. The only problem now is that it feels like we have more in-season coaching firings. And like Jared Mayo got done coaching a marvelous Patriots victory yesterday. Probably a victory cigar in his mouth, enjoying the day. And Robert Kraft comes in and says, "You're fired."
I'll take that cigar too, by the way. Yeah, just leave that right here.
We should make teams have to wait until today. And like I said before, have a window so that it can be televised. Cameras in the offices.
It should be like a game show, man. Like they all have to. All right, there's 12 coaches that are sort of on a hot seat.
Yes, exactly.
Burp, 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 burp.
Yep.
Or they have to somehow like go up against each other, like MTV's The Challenge or something.
And they have
One
to
of
come
them gets
into
fired.
to work too, and like have car cam. So it's like, oh, it looks like Doug is pulling up to the Jaguars facility. We'll be back to that in just a
Will
little
this
bit.
be the last time he pulls up to the Jaguars facility? People wondering who's the new guy. About you got Judd. Me and Judd have the same outfit on today.
Pretty much.
Not planned at all whatsoever. And then people are wondering who's the new guy because the mustache is gone and Declan looks like he's 13 years old again.
Yep. Just a couple years younger than my friend JJ McCarthy. We look exactly the same at this point. He's got a little bit more of a flowing locks.
You got to grow. Can you grow the curls out? You got the kind of the curls up top.
I could. I had pretty long hair when I met you guys. But no, I think the long hair days are over. That was a whole year. I went a whole year without a haircut. Wow. I can't do that again.
Wait, like back when you first started producing?
Yeah, when I
radio?
Well, actually, I think by the time I met you guys, I had literally had just cut it because I had pretty long hair, like all the way down here to my neck till like July of 2016, and I got hired at 1500 the first time April of 2016 when I was still doing like Sunday nights. So by the time I think I produced your show, I think I did actually have it cut, but I did have my ID badge. I don't have it on me. Does have my long hair in it. Like I have a man bun in the back. You can't see it, but it's pulled back.
Oh wow, I didn't know you had a man bun when you first started producing for us.
Yeah.
Boy, so I know people love the man bun discussion here, but what you really came is, I'm sure you came here to hear us savage the Vikings the day after. We'll see where the hottest takes take us. Chef Dex has a pie chart of blame off last night, but let's start our journey here at Quick Trip if we could, Judd.
Of course we can, because you know what? Today is sort of a downer, right? It's Monday, the Vikings lost. You stayed up far too late to watch that. And now you're saying, my gas tank's on E and I've got nothing for lunch. And that's why Sports Dad's going to come in and save the day by telling you a trip to Quick Trip is going to resolve all of those problems. Just look at all of the options here. Little bit of pizza right there. I mean, my God, Quick Trip is a grocery store, but it's a convenience store because it's so simple. And if you don't, you know what? If you're busy, don't want to go inside, that's fine too. Just put the app on your phone. They'll deliver the groceries to you outside. Heck, while you're pumping gas. Quick Trip, it is the best place to stop.
If you are perpetually antisocial, you could also just do what Judd said with the app. It's great. If you are social, you can come hang out with us tomorrow night, even though the Vikings suffered a franchise-altering, devastating loss in Week 18. You can come hang with us at Podrig's Brewery tomorrow from 5 to 7 o'clock for a Purple Daily Unplugged podcast recording. We'll preview the playoffs. We will provide some more therapy off of last night's loss. It's free to attend. Everyone in attendance gets a free pint glass and a free Podrig's beer. We do ask that you at least register for a ticket. You do have to have a ticket to get in, even though it's free. ScoreNorth.com/unplugged. There are still some spots available. ScoreNorth.com/unplugged. Okay, hottest Vikings takes. We do have a sampling of Packer Vent Line that we will get to, and then we'll get to Chef Dex Pie Chart of Blame. Let's go Judd. And then Dex, and maybe it goes Judd, Dex, me here. Judd, if you're feeling good about your hottest take.
Oh, I'm feeling absolutely good.
Okay.
All right. My hottest take is Sam Darnold cannot be the quarterback of this team in 2025. The questions were answered last night in a massive game in which he didn't just struggle. He was awful. He was absolutely terrible. Losing football, terrible. We could pick it. We could pick at the late points the defense gave up, but the reality is that defense had given up 10 points through 2 quarters and 17 points in 3 quarters to a team that scores a ton of points. We can argue about, and justifiably so, Justin Jefferson didn't catch at least 2 footballs he always catches. TJ Hawkinson certainly could have had and should have had a better game, if I'm not mistaken, 2 catches on like 8 targets. But at the end of the day, this comes down to quarterback play. And the fact that it's a cold-ass take. How is it a tepid take?
You're getting roasted in the comments right now.
You know what?
The spicy ketchup of hot takes.
You know what? That's fine. But last week, all I heard was, oh, Sam Darnold's the guy. And when I suggested benching him after the Jets game, you can't bench him. You have to re-sign him. He is the future. He cannot be the future. We saw it last night. He cannot be the future.
Chester says that take is more boring than watching paint dry.
You know what?
I don't bench him for Monday. Say you're going to bench him for Monday.
You know, it needs to be said.
Daniel Jones needs to start Monday against the Rams.
Here's why it's a hot take. Because how many people were telling us, oh, Sam Darnold has to be the guy. You've got to sign him, whatever it takes. Absolutely not. You'll be lucky now if you franchise him. Because if he has another bad game, I'm telling you, franchising him comes with some real peril. Because I don't know that you can actually then trade him to a team that's going to sign to a multi-year contract.
That's the take.
That's going to give you what you want back, or even if it would be worth it.
Because you broached to me, that's you actually kind of broached your real hottest take at the end of Ventline last night,
but
and then touched on it again. That if you're almost saying he's closer to derailing any value and franchise tag ability than any sort of long-term extension.
But the reality is, going into last night, there was a huge faction of Vikings fans saying this is the guy, so he cannot be the guy. Like that has to be talked about. Because there were too many people who told me, well, he has to be the guy. Trade J.J. McCarthy? See, and now Buck seems a bit reactive for a guy who actually made us 14-3.
Yeah, hater.
The take has to be today that this cannot be your quarterback going forward. You cannot have that type of performance. It was a complete meltdown. He was hyperventilating during that game.
Yeah, it was. On one hand, everything you said is right. Like he was hyperventilating. He sailed. It feels like 90% of the throws and there was a bunch of wide open, big chunk plays and potential touchdowns and whatnot. Dex, you posted on Twitter last night. I'm putting you on the spot here. I don't know if you have it in front of you, but the famous Josh Freeman Monday night game against the Giants, where they literally plucked him off waivers or whatever it was, and they put him into the game as the starter after like 2 days of practice.
Yep.
He looked completely overwhelmed. He sailed every throw for 3 hours, and you had the comparable numbers between that and Darnold's performance last night.
Yeah, Darnold was 18 of 41 for $166 yesterday. Josh Freeman was 20 of 53 for $190.
Wow. So Freeman actually had a better game on that Monday night than Darnold did.
Yeah.
Yeah. What's the
more yardage, more
completion
completions
percentage? And keep in mind, Josh Freeman was playing outdoors at Giant Stadium. I'm not giving him a pass. It was an awful performance, but it was noisy last night, but the conditions were perfect. That's a dome.
Yeah, it was, considering, okay, maybe the Lions came out with a game plan that surprised you. You didn't expect them to be that aggressive and play man coverage on the back end. You have to be able to counterpunch that at some point.
Yes.
And it kind of feels like it was there. And even, Kevin O'Connell downshifted to the run game late first half, and then they were chunking the ball on the ground. They had that big 50-yard run. And everything came down to either A, Sam Darnold inability to put the ball in the end zone inside the 10-yard line, or B, the Vikings' inability or unwillingness and inability to run the ball effectively in tight quarters inside the 10-yard line.
Yeah.
That's why they didn't score a touchdown.
And,
okay.
You saw enough that if you're KO, that had to scare you beyond belief because you couldn't fix it. And remember, the starting point is this. The Detroit Lions entered the game with 12 of their primary defensive players on the sideline on IR.
Marty says, what's Judd going to say when J.J. McCarthy struggles? That you have to let him walk too? Answer for yourself.
If J.J. McCarthy hyperventilates and completely melts down, I will have concerns. Like, this was not a bad game. This was a game where the stage was too big and resulted in a just complete, absolute fracture of ability to play.
Also, it's one thing to sort of be overwhelmed a little bit or struggle or have accuracy problems when you're taking up a small portion of the team's resources and you can sort of make up for it. You know, like that Jaguars game probably should have been a loss, but because the Vikings brought in 5 awesome defensive players in free agency and Aaron Jones, they were able to win the game despite Sam Darnold melting down. The minute that you have to step up and start paying him big boy quarterback money, can he overcome roster deficiencies? And then we just go right back to the Kirk Cousins debate that we had for 6 years and the debate that the Cowboys fans are probably having right now. And 49ers fans, should we pay Brock Purdy? So, okay. Some people are saying we're overreacting a little bit here. Other people are just ripping Judd for not having a hot enough take.
I'm sticking with that take. That take was absolutely necessary out of the gate today. Not some type of, I think the future of this. Decisions were made last night in this household and in Egan, and we all decided enough's enough.
Okay. That's fair. All right, Dex, your hottest Vikings take.
All right. My hottest take, by the way, is sponsored by my friends at Standard Heating and Air. So all furnace problems, 75% start with lack of maintenance. Schedule your tune-up at standardheating.com. Join their smart club also to save a little extra money on appointments and whatnot. Standardheating.com to keep those furnace runnings and keep those hot takes nice and hot and toasty as well. Okay, here's my hottest take. The Vikings' red zone problems don't start with Sam Darnold. It starts with their interior offensive line. So the red zone problems yesterday, yes, Darnold had an atrocious day. We will get to a pie chart of blame here, and you'll see where the pie lands on Sam. But the Vikings' inability to trust their running game in the deep red makes everything incredibly predictable. You become one-dimensional. Everyone knows you're going to pass the entire time. And then also when you have an offensive line that really is not great at run blocking. Blake Brandel is 85th out of guards in run blocking grades on PFF. Dalton Reisner, who has been very good at pass blocking, is 79th in run blocking this season. Cam Robinson, who they traded for, who has definitely been a Band-Aid for Christian Darrisaw, who you lost, is 71st in run blocking grade. And Aaron Jones, God bless him. I love Aaron Jones. He's stepped in here. He can catch a pass. He gives you a nice little bit of juice in your game, in the pass game too. But he's also almost had 2,000 touches in his career. He's old. He's too old. He can't be just relied upon.
He's too old
to get these cuts and make plays happen. So look, for sure, Sam Darnold had a atrocious performance. It does land on Sam. But when you physically cannot run the ball in the deep red, it makes things almost impossible. And look, I get it. I know why KOC. I'm not the person that's as yelling at the screen, just run the ball. It'll fix everything. Just run the ball. No, this is an indictment on the offensive line. And I would love to see this, only 2 running plays called in those goal-to-go situations yesterday. Everything else was a pass. I believe 9 passes. So I would love for that number to be a little bit closer to even. But the Vikings' inability to run the ball in the deep red is where that all starts. And when your quarterback is sailing passes over the heads and is clearly in over his head, it makes life incredibly difficult. So the red zone problems don't start with Sam yesterday. It starts with their inability to run the football.
It's kind of incredible how many points the Vikings offense scores without any ability to run the ball into the end zone. And we kind of thought it was fixed. Didn't Aaron Jones rifle off like a 20-yard, 15 or 20-yard touchdown rush in the first game against the Giants? It was early, like he showed, he can maybe fix this problem.
Yeah, I think that was here. Yep. I think.
But then you watch some of the real Super Bowl contenders here now. The Buffalo Bills with James Cook, and then their quarterback can rush for a touchdown every single game too. And Josh Allen, the Ravens with Derrick Henry and Lamar Jackson helps to have a mobile quarterback, and then the Lions with Jahmyr Gibbs. The real teams, and the Chiefs too. When Pacheco is healthy, the Chiefs can run the ball in the end zone. Inside the 5, I was talking with our guys via text message, Jeremiah Searles and Alex Boone, and they were just like all capital letters. Especially if you're going to go for it on fourth down. Run the ball when you're that close. And I said, they're terrible at it. I think they're even, and maybe the knock is you have to try, because if Sam Darnold is off and seeing ghosts and has happy feet and is sailing every pass,
Yep.
do you just commit to running the ball twice in those situations? But they've been terrible at it. It really, really handcuffs you. But it's like Kevin O'Connell moves right. He's like dismissing it in his mind off the bat. We can't run the ball inside the 5-yard line.
Yeah.
Maybe we'll try once, but then we're gonna take 3 shots in the end zone with Sam and hope that Justin Jefferson can make a miraculous catch.
You know, there were a lot of things that occurred last night that actually really, really should help this team next season. Because you did see, like, Detroit's a really good team. Now, defensively, it was, in my opinion, pretty inexcusable what you couldn't do across the board. But Detroit's a good team, and you got a really good look at what your deficiencies are, like, against good teams. So, I mean, the season's been great. You just won 9 consecutive games. There's a lot to like. But when it came to Darnold, when it came to the run game, when it came to asking too much of your defense, you got a really good look at, okay, we've had a really nice year. I think the future is bright. I really do. But we also got a very important look at things. You know, you cannot get to the red zone 4 times and stall out. And going for it in the red zone should not be a death knell. Like, going for it should be probably, and is around the league, more common now. So I think in some ways what happened last night could really help you, because I think that these guys are smart enough to actually go to school on those things. And when it comes to Jones too, Aaron Jones's problem is that he is nicked up a ton. He was out again last night. The last 2 games, he can carry the ball, but it comes at a price. And so that's where I think you probably need to go back to the drawing board at that position. And if nothing else, just find somebody. It might not be Gibbs, but my God, that versatility and skill set is so great. And he's tougher and younger. And so just a lot of things that the spotlight was shined on last night.
Yeah. On Opta Sports, Opta Stats this morning, they tweeted this out.
I saw this last night.
The Vikings tonight, as in yesterday, are the first team to have 4 times reaching the red zone but not scoring a touchdown, 3 times having a goal to go, not scoring a touchdown, 2 failed fourth and goal attempts, and 1 missed field goal. No other team in the last 30 years has done all of that in the same game.
That's pretty impressive. Impressively bad.
Impressively bad.
Yep. Yes.
And it's part of the reason why you come away from that game. You definitely feel like the Lions are the better team. So I will give them that. But you also come away thinking, what could that game have been if you, instead of scoring no points in some of those situations, if you get the 14 points, right? And if Andrew Van Ginkel, who has brilliantly read that exact play every other game this season, houses the pick 6 that he bobbled and dropped. If this, and right. You could play that game across the league every single week, but very pronounced in that game last night.
The opportunities, though, were like right there. And it would have been, I don't think it's ridiculous to say that there was a world in which you don't do everything right and you still lead by a couple touchdowns.
Yeah. Yeah.
You had 4 trips inside the red zone and did nothing. Kicked a couple field goals.
I'm going to give you, I have 3 hottest takes here. I'm going to give you the 2 that are not going to make the cut real quick.
Oh, wow. Okay.
And then I'll give you the one that makes the cut. Mm-hmm. I feel like there's no reason to not at least share some of these, right? My first hottest take is the Vikings should IR Will Reichard and grab John Parker Romo. I think he's still on the Patriots practice squad. Not really sure how that works. Patriots don't even have a coach right now. I think you can probably just grab him off their practice squad.
You can.
Their season's over, right? Like.
Yep.
So that's hottest take number 1. You can't. Will Reichard can't even keep the ball in bounds on a kickoff. And I know he nailed a 51-yarder. He's either not healthy, he's in his head, he's a rookie playing in these huge games. I know he played in big SEC games. Something's off with him. And my first hottest take is I would IR him. I would call it a quad issue again. and I would grab John Parker Romo. Any thoughts? Would you guys? Is
I
that
agree with
hot?
that. Yeah.
That,
No,
okay.
I think I talked about this last week too. It's concerning. He is a different kicker, and I think he's still hurt.
His body. The thing I loved about him, why they drafted him, is like he's this kicker prodigy, and right now he is droopy dog, man. Like just Eeyore looking down in the dumps, and that part, in my opinion, is even more scary than just an injury, which is obviously affecting him too.
Yeah, because these guys are golfers who kick the ball instead of use a golf.
He
club.
knows he's hurt. I'm sure he knows he's hurt. He's trying to kick through it. It's got to be tough. Like that job, if everything's not right with your body, has to be just an awful job.
Yeah. Yeah, it's probably torturous. Okay, the second one that didn't make the cut, and Judd already kind of hit on these points, but I was going to say that last night's loss changed the entire trajectory and history of Minnesota Vikings football in a good way. It was actually a blessing in disguise because you got a more firm answer on Darnold. Not that he can't bounce back or not, because I think there's a good chance he does bounce back. He's bounced back the entire season, and he'll string together games. But it just gives you, if you're going to be really, really, I guess, meticulous about who you pay $50 million to, you can probably put him in the bin of he's not carrying the franchise. He is benefiting from what's been built here. He should not then reap the reward of taking up 15 to 20% of the salary cap. Yes. And if you win last night and then you get a bye and then you get a home game in the second round and the momentum, I could see a scenario where last night's win pressures you into signing him for like 3 years down the road here. And so I feel like it put an end to that, but Judd already touched on those things. My actual hottest Vikings take is that they will play the Eagles in the NFC Championship game in 3 weeks. Everybody is wildly overreacting to what happened last night. Everyone is burying this team, including Judd Zulgad himself. I'm not sure. I feel like Declan can be swayed back to thinking the Vikings might make a run here.
Yeah.
I feel like Judd is out on this team entirely. That's my sense from you right now. That you think Darnold is cooked, and you think there's no way they can make a run. And I'm telling you, I think they're going to play the Eagles in the NFC Championship game.
I'll explain to you why I don't. So here's the thing that last night did. It exposed issues that we thought might exist and we're now certain. Could they win a game or two? Yes, they could. But I saw enough last night on a big stage not to be fooled by Darnold, not to be fooled by to Dex's point, he's right. Your run game needs work. Like your red zone run game is non-existent. That's not excusable. So I'm not so much out as I've seen clarity. Now, could they bounce back? It's the playoffs. Yeah, they could. Do I expect them to? Probably not. But I'm not out like in a way where now I hate this team and they're crap and they're not good. I thought last night was very instructive. And I do think playing the Rams at SoFi will be very difficult too.
It will be, because you could make a case, because this is a really hard game. The people are holding the 1-4 start over the Rams' head a little bit because it's baked into their 10-7 record. You look at, well, they're 10-7.
Right.
Well, one of the losses was a backup game against Seattle in Week 18. And then if we take away September, early October, which really doesn't matter anymore, whatever happened in September and October is the Bears were 4-2. After the Bears were 4-2. At the same time, the Rams were 1-4 going into a bye week. If you're wondering if September and October really matter at this point. Since then, the Rams have lost 2 legitimate games, one of them to the Eagles, and you could argue that they have the better coach, the better quarterback, and a defense that gave up single-digit points in the 3 games leading into Week 18. So it's a mountain to climb. It's the only other team that beat you. But I just feel like people saw that game last night, which was the worst showing the Vikings have had probably all year in all the phases. Special teams meltdowns across the board, red zone meltdowns. They've bounced back strongly the entire season. They've been resilient. They are very well coached. Darnold has a short memory. He might have needed to just feel the pressure of a game like that, get it out of his system, probably less nervy against the Rams. And guess what? The expectations have dropped 100 feet from where they were 48 hours ago.
Yeah.
And if you look in the last 20 years, there's 4 teams that have won the Super Bowl going on the road, wild card weekend, division, and then championship round. The 2005 Steelers, the 2007 Giants, who the Vikings have a lot of similarities to, the 2010 Packers, and the 2020 Buccaneers. A better run game would make me feel more comfortable about this, like inside the red zone.
Yes.
But if you can, this is a tough game against the Rams, but if you can win a close game against the Rams, you're likely getting the Lions for a third time. Can they beat you 3 times? The old cliche says it's difficult. And then you'd probably get the Eagles in a rematch of the 2017 NFC Championship game. So I woke up, positive Phil woke up with some clarity here. The season is not over. People are freaking out, overreacting, which happens in the NFL. And positive Phil, looking into his crystal ball, sees an Eagles Vikings. Now, whatever happens in that game, I'm not ready to predict that. I have a feeling it could be very bad for the Vikings. But
so positive Phil is positive until you get to the link, and then it's not so positive.
Well, how could it be based on what happened last time? Yeah.
If you could beat the Rams now, I'll be impressed.
They're still, as of this morning, they are still 2.5-point favorites.
There you go. So right now, the Vikings are favored to beat the Rams. Okay. Yeah. Then you get into Detroit for a third time.
I got to think they're not going to go in. At kickoff next Monday, I got to think that they are not going to be favorites.
Okay, I'm getting hammered in the comment section. DJ28, go to sleep, Phil. Kevin Snow, Dream on, Mackie.
I told you guys.
LOL, positive Phil is always wrong.
I told you guys 2 weeks ago, the problem is that the PD family, which we love dearly, by the way.
Here we go.
The expectation of the hot take has now become the Vikings should burn down TCO today. What they should do is just blow it up and disband. It's like the hottest take is a hot take, but it can't be every week. The team should just fold up shop.
Yeah, I think. Well, first of all, respect the hottest take segment, Judd. I feel like sometimes you resist the hottest take segment.
I'm the one that benched Darnold after the Jets game.
Oh, yes.
No, yeah, but then you recoiled. You recoiled for one. You know, people got on you, and you kind of like lashed out back at them, and then went into tepid take mode. I just don't feel like you're wrapping your arms around the hottest take segment.
That's not true at all. That's not true at all. I wrap my arms around it, but I can only come with as realistic at times. I was serious. After that Jets game, if J.J. McCarthy was healthy, he would have started.
Nate B says if Phil had any guts, he'd say bring back Kirk for a year.
That's a hot take.
I'll say Kirk would have had more than 10 points on the board.
That's a hot take
game last night.
That should get you fired from the show.
He's going to play somewhere next year. Probably not going to be here. Aaron Rodgers would have been the take there.
Did I see the Falcons
Aaron
are coming
Rodgers will
back?
be the starting quarterback for the Vikings.
I believe that I saw the Vikings home and road opponents for 2025. If I'm not mistaken, the Falcons are coming back again. Little Michael Penix action.
And the Vikings, once again, play the Seahawks on the road.
And they don't get that division, so it's like they always match up in the standings. Because there's always 3 games that are sort of...
Yep.
They get the NFC East, and then they get is it AFC West next year? Or whatever the other AFC division is.
NFC East and the AFC North.
Okay. Yeah, Ravens, Steelers,
some fun
Bengals.
Quarterbacks coming to US.
Baltimore's here, which will be great.
Yeah, Burrow will be here. Flacco, oh my God. Lamar Jackson will be here. Jaden Daniels will be here.
Johnny Unitas comes to town.
Flacco might too, depending on what team he signs
Terry
with.
Bradshaw here as well.
Okay, can we, Dex, I'll let you fire this here, but we do have one. Is this from the Packers game yesterday, like the live Cheesehead TV?
I was watching some of this, just waiting for a damn Sunday night football, Carrie Underwood, and so I was watching Cheesehead TV, watching our friends over there, and this is the game-winning kick by Chicago. I did have to bleep a couple buttons. I believe that came through. So if this is not, we will not play this on the radio. But here was the reaction from our friends Corey and Aaron at Cheesehead TV on the game-winning kick by Chicago.
Come on. Let's
Block it.
show,
Miss it.
Let's show
Corey,
Lambeau.
say it, Corey. Say it.
Miss it. Miss it, you Let's go! Oh, blocking! No, it's good.
Got it. Well, that was it. The Bears get their revenge. Packers come up short. They finally break the streak.
1-5 in the division.
How about that?
And should be 0-6.
Yeah, the Bears.
Yeah.
Cairo Santos had the field goal like yesterday's blocked in Chicago, or else they're 0-6.
Man. Yeah, and you know what they're going to do? Watch them. Philly's a tough matchup for them because the things that Green Bay is really good at, Philly's better at. Like, well, we're going to run the ball. And Philly's like, oh, we have a 2,000-yard running back. We have an offensive line. Philly's like, yeah, we have 6 325-pound monsters, 5. But would it shock you if, based on what the Packers did last year going into Dallas and then they played San Francisco really tough, if they went in and beat
Would not
Philadelphia?
shock me.
No.
Would not shock me at all.
And that would set up a line. I mean, they're the 7, right? Packers are the 7, so no matter what, they will play Detroit if they won.
If they won, yep.
Yeah.
Yeah. If it holds chalk, so if Philadelphia wins and then the Buccaneers beat the Commanders, then it would guarantee that whoever wins the 4-5 game between the Vikings and the Rams goes to Detroit. But if the 6 or the 7 win, then
I don't
it
like the
flips and you go
Packers'
to Philadelphia.
chances at Ford Field.
At Ford Field, or
Yes.
Okay.
If they were to upset Philly, which wouldn't entirely shock me, I'm waiting for all of the crap with the Eagles to finally catch up with them. It's just such a weird mercurial team.
Right, but if you take away some of the weird drama that spilled out a few weeks ago, because it feels like that's kind of everyone's happy again now. If you take away that, and if you take away any questions, Nick Sirianni's record as a head coach is incredible. Like one of the great winning percentages in NFL history. 4-year sample size, but still. So if you take away some of the dramatic stuff, they're just an awesome team that runs the ball really well, has weapons all over the place in the passing game, defensive front, offensive line. So can chemistry derail it at this point? I don't know, man. Like they made it to the playoffs, so it's just going to be a tough team.
Yeah, they did play a division though that had some dregs. So
yeah. All right, it's pie chart time here on this live Purple Daily.
Knows how you feel about pie.
Click that subscribe button and the like button if you're hanging out with us here live, or if you're listening or watching on demand. A 5-star rating and a positive review on Apple and Spotify help us out a lot here. It's kind of Vikings therapy for the next couple days at least until people start looking ahead. So we'll get to Declan's pie chart of blame as part of that therapy. But Judd, tell the audience, if you're starting the 2025 calendar year looking to lose some weight, who should they turn to?
Well, there's only one place, of course, because Sportsnet's been talking about it for a long time. Livia Weight Control Centers, they are your friends. In fact, you know what? We're about to do a pie chart. So let's say during the holidays, you ate too much pie, and now you're like, I got to drop some weight. I'm going to tell you, I've got the place because I'm talking about a place that does weight loss differently because they know that everyone's needs are unique. GLP-1 meds available to qualifying patients. Here's the program. It's a you-centric approach. Sports Dad has tried it twice. You know why? Because I went back a few months back, said, I got to drop a couple of pounds again. 15 pounds came off just like that. Join today and get 25% off an award-winning program. 9 centers here in the metro, but do not despair. If you're not in the state, that's fine because the whole program can be done virtually. Check them out, livea.com to schedule your free consultation today, or give them a call, 855-GO-LIVEA. Livia Weight Control Centers, that is your ticket to weight loss if you did indeed have too much pie over the holidays.
2 Men in a Truck also helping to power Purple Daily into 2025, Dex.
That's right. Yeah, holidays are now over. Your house is potentially a disaster, and you got all this stuff. You don't know what the hell to do with it. You can call our friends at 2 Men. Not only does 2 Men in a Truck can help you move, they can also help you remove that wanted junk, which is obviously a problem in your house, right? So book your free no-obligation appointment at twomenandajuncktruck.com. That's twomenandajuncktruck.com. Tell them Purple Daily sent you. There's tons of locations in the Midwest. There's actually locations nationwide as well. But twomenandajuncktruck.com to get rid of all that unwanted junk in your home.
So on Prize Picks yesterday, what I did was I searched for incentives the players were chasing. Like Mike Evans needed, it was 85 yards to hit 1,000. And then I went on Prize Picks and I said, oh, he only needs 69.5 yards that was the number that they put out on Prize Picks. Cortland Sutton, too, needed, I don't know, it was like 90 yards or whatever it was, and for a big incentive. Mike Evans was a $3 million incentive, and they ran a play. The game was over, but they ran a play with like 25 seconds left. And they get him the 5 yards needed, and they celebrated like they won the Super Bowl. And then he runs off the field like Joe Namath, into the tunnel. Anyways, that was a fun day on Prize Picks yesterday. You can win up to 100 times your money on Prize Picks with as little as 4 correct picks. Here's how it works. You select between 2 and 6 players. You pick more or less on their projected stats, and you place your entry. It's super easy. Go to Prize Picks, or I should say open the Prize Picks app in your app store and use the code PURPLEDAILY in the app and get $50 instantly when you play just $5. That's code PURPLEDAILY on Prize Picks to get $50 instantly when you play just $5.
The Rock knows how you feel about pie.
Okay. Chef Dex, you said fewer than 5 slices last night. Did you stick to that?
We're at 5 slices. But I will say 4 of these slices are all getting the same piece of pie, same chunk of pie.
Okay.
Because at the end of the day, and I did some crowdsourcing on this. I was making sure, was I skimping out on the pie chart? And it really seems like, obviously, the biggest chunk of pie we know it's gonna go to. But I don't put too much nitpickiness into this game. I think this comes down to a couple huge one big culprit. And then there's a couple sprinklings of some other stuff that happened today, or happened yesterday. So that's my pie chart. So 5 pieces. Again, the first 4 are all the same chunk. So we'll start at the bottom to a degree, work our way up. Let's start 10% to the tight end TJ Hawkinson. It was an off day. Yes, Darnold sailed a couple passes, but if you're paying a tight end who's going to be one of the highest paid players at his position, you got to catch the ball, brother. Phil, I gave a weekend statement, I believe, when you were out last Monday, 2 Mondays ago, whenever that was. I don't know if paying a tight end was the right move. I don't know if shipping out all that money to TJ Hawkinson was the right move. Now, it's still early. He's an integral part of this offense. He got targeted a ton yesterday, didn't haul in those catches. But he deserves a piece of pie, but just the 10% chunk.
He's been solid. And the injury really derailed things, because he winds up missing half of the year, and he just looks a little. He just looked a little off in that game. Maybe just going back into that building and playing against the defense that was hunting for your kneecaps.
Yeah, he had at least a couple of passes that might not have been perfect, but weren't high, that he could have caught, and they're tough catches, but that's your job. So yes, he definitely. I think he was. If I'm correct on this, I think he had 2 receptions on 8 targets, and there were at least a couple of those that he should have caught. So I'm definitely on board with him taking a very small sliver of responsibility for last night.
Also, if you're wondering about the contract, it starts to jump next year for sure. And then so his cap hit goes from 7 to 17 million next year, and it kind of escalates from there into the 20s in 2026. They're pretty much locked in for 2 more years of TJ Hawkinson for pretty healthy money. But he's not, even at his worst, he's still a safety blanket. I don't know that contract hinders you all that much, like some of the other contracts we saw in recent Vikings history.
I also think he probably comes back more effective in 2025. Because, I mean, he's coming off 2 torn, he tore his ACL, his MCL, missed all of training camp, and then came back, 7 games in or something like that? So I'm not giving up hope, but I do think that there is hope. I think that 2025 should be much more of a return to what we saw when he got here initially from Detroit, which was a really impact tight end.
All right, so 10% to the Hawk.
The Rock knows how you feel about pie.
Another 10% chunk, Will Reichard. So I know there's probably a case to be made that maybe this could be higher, but he has one job to do. And the job, number one, is to kick the silly ball through the silly uprights to get you points on the other team, which I can't stand. And then the other job, Will, is to not kick the damn ball out of bounds. There's this entire field of play. You can kick it. Now there's only certain areas where you can kick it to with the new kickoff rules, I should say. But for God's sakes, buddy, just do your job. Like, I don't think that was a complete game changer. It definitely shifted things once he pooched that kick out of bounds. But he gets a chunk of pie here. It's a 10% chunk, 10% to Will Reichard.
Yeah, at the end of the day, like, the Vikings offense needed to score more than 9 points. But there are so many little things in that game. The missed grounding call that we haven't really touched on since Fentline yesterday. The end of the first half when, okay, things have not gone your way, but you're within one. You're right there. Just get to halftime. You got the ball coming back. Maybe you kick a field goal on the other side to take a lead. Maybe having a lead early in the third quarter makes it feel different in some way. And he boots that ball out of bounds. Lions get the ball at the 40. There's some unquantifiable stuff in the NFL. Just like vibes in the NFL matter, and momentum is a thing. And going into halftime, the Lions getting those 3 free points, and now you need a touchdown to take the lead. It just it was a buzzkill. Instead of feeling like, okay, we're not gonna give them a possession because we bled that clock down. You just gave them a possession and 3 free points. It was bad.
If Reichard is kicking against the Rams too, that's a Vikings problem because they've now had 2 consecutive games where something's off. And look, I don't know if he's still truly hurt or he's mind bleeped. At this point in time, I don't care. And I'm not suggesting that he be jettisoned. I'm not suggesting he be put on waivers. I am suggesting that what you said, Phil, in one of your sub-hot takes, I think you might want to just go out, IR the kid for now, say, let's work on some things. Because if he misses a field goal against the Rams, that becomes a Kevin O'Connell problem. Like, it's great to show faith, but I think it's dumb to show faith in a guy when it's potentially going to cost his teammates. And right now, if that kid were to miss a field goal against the Rams, including a chip shot, none of us would be astounded by it.
The Rock knows how you feel about pie.
Next chunk of pie, I'm going to give 10% to head coach Kevin O'Connell. I think he deserves a sliver here. And I really wanted him to show up and prove that the Vikings are legitimate. And it seemed like, I agreed with that vent line caller yesterday. It felt like he tried to mimic Dan Campbell and got away from things. And in the deep red, when I know he doesn't trust the running game, but there's also just times to run the ball. There was times that then he just chose to kick a field goal, and they probably should have went for it. It just didn't feel as crisp as we are accustomed to with Kevin O'Connell. And what I believe he has only beaten Dan Campbell, is it once since he's gotten here? Maybe.
I think that's right.
I think once.
Yeah,
So
they've been
5?
swept 2 years in a row, right?
Yes.
And they split then in
Beat 'em in
2022.
Split in 22. I think that is correct.
Yep.
So as much as KOC is probably going to win Coach of the Year, I thought that was a little bit of a dud to close out the regular season. He's still done a marvelous job. But Kevin O'Connell, at the end of the day, is the head coach of that team. If we're going to blame Darnold and we're going to blame these things, coach has to get your players ready for the game. He does get a sliver of pie, but it's just 10%.
The thing I hated the most from KOC yesterday was electing on 4th and 4 from the edge of field goal range.
Yeah.
Late third quarter. And they were down by 8 at the time. Wasn't it 17-9, I'm pretty sure?
Yes.
And they elect to kick a 52-yard field goal in that spot.
Yep.
He blinked first. Dan Campbell had no intention of settling for field goals on 4th and anything under 5.
Yep.
Whether it was in the red zone or on the fringe of field goal range. Once the Lions crossed the 50-yard line in most games, but yesterday in particular, 4th and 3, 4th and 2, 4th and 4, they're going for it. And sometimes it blows up in their face, but they convert like 65% of those things. So to keep up, especially in that situation where you're down by 8, let's say you kick a field goal there. Let's say he makes the 52-yarder. Well, now you're hoping to hold them to a field goal. You bring guns to the gunfight. And he let a couple of whiffed fourth downs inside the 5 affect his decision on that 4th and 4 from the fringe of field goal range.
Yep.
He blinked first, and that was the end of the game.
And the problem, too, is if you attempt that field goal from there and it misses, the ball goes to the spot of the miss. So you're giving them even better field position than if you had gone for it and, not gotten a yard. So, yeah, I think he definitely deserves some blame. It's just that Darnold's performance burned my eyes so badly. It's almost hard for me to see the rest of the blame when the quarterback is playing like that. But yes, O'Connell didn't have a great game, and you can make a pretty good case that he should have gone to a short passing game. I just keep coming back to the fact the plays he did call were there, and the quarterback couldn't complete the damn passes. But
dude, the miss to Addison in the flat, and by the way, Addison's father on Twitter very much showing up his frustrations with
Shocking.
the KOC's play calling yesterday.
Never happened.
But the miss to Addison in the flat, Sam, how do we miss that one? And even there was the other one on 4th down where Addison actually cuts in, and if he fires a pass quick just like Jared Goff does so well, that's also a touchdown. So he missed Addison twice on those goal-to-goal situations.
Yeah, his dad, man,
knows how you feel about pie.
was a handful. Just ripping everyone. He was ripping his son, too. He's saying, like, you're
Yes.
going to do some push-ups, 6
Push-ups.
targets, 1 catch, no yards.
Push-ups.
And then he started targeting other people, the coach. Brutal.
2 more pieces of pie left. Another 10% chunk to the interior offensive line. I believe the Lions had a season-high 15 pressures total against the Vikings offensive line. Against a team that isn't supposed to be great at getting after the passer after losing Aiden Hutchinson and having he's still their leader in sacks, which is insane. He's been out for basically 3 months now. The interior offensive line's inability to run the ball. Sam, yes, some of those pressures are not all on the O-line. It's on Sam holding on to the ball for too long and not being able to rifle it out. But they didn't have a great day. And for a defense that's beat up, it looked like the Lions defense had all the answers against an offense of the Vikings that's supposed to be really good too, not up to the same level as the Lions offense if you're stacking Minnesota versus Detroit. But the offensive line had a rough day, and they get 10% of a chunk of pie in this pie chart of blame.
So Brandl's under contract next year. Just looking ahead real quick. Bradbury's under contract next year. I think Reisner's a 1-year deal.
yes, he's done.
Yeah.
He's been very good in pass protection, but they need to find. You can't have 3 guys that are kind of like only good at one thing.
You need an alpha.
Or
Give me one alpha at least.
yeah.
Just one guy who wants to
A
kick
Creed
people's
Humphrey.
asses.
You need someone.
You can spread around, and we'll talk about this once the season's done a bunch. But you can find I think 3 positions at which if you go and make some decent spends, changes last night as far as the things around the quarterback that we're complaining about. Now, do I think that Darnold would have thrived with a good guard last night? Not necessarily. But I do think that just from a starting point of, I want a guy who wants to kick someone's ass and who's good, who's a Pro Bowl ass kicker.
Who's not
Steve
trying to figure
Hutchinson.
out if they're a starter or not.
Yeah.
That's the thing. It's like
Hutch.
every year.
Right? That guy came in at left guard. He was paid a ton. But you know what he was? He was a Pro Bowl ass kicker. And you weren't going to screw around with Hutch.
I'd
And
love
it
to
improved everybody.
I'd love to make the Pro Bowl as an ass kicker position. Ass kicker. That'd be phenomenal.
It would be.
LinkedIn, ass kicker.
Ass kicker.
Declan Goff,
Offensive line.
ass kicker.
That's your goal, right? Well, if you play those spots, it's not sexy. You want to kick ass.
You know what you don't really see much of? You see it with Darisaw and a little bit Brian O'Neill. But when ESPN runs, like Jeff Saturday does the pancake segment a couple days a week, and you'll see some of these, you'll see like Robert Hunt or Kevin Dotson, some of these guys, Mekhi Becton, the right guard for the Eagles.
It's a great name, by the way.
And these dudes are just, every week it's like they're road grading. They're putting up highlight reel. When's the last time you saw one of the Vikings' interior offensive linemen wind up on like a pancake highlight reel that you saw on social media? You see Darisaw, like, oh, look at Darisaw's athletic ability as he sets down and prevents this edge rusher. I know that's a really weak anecdotal way to evaluate offensive line play, but yeah, they
when
just
I see guys road
but
grading.
they do. And if it, you know what? If you say goodbye to Darnold and you decide not to pay $40 or $50 million, guess what you can afford? Maybe splurge a little and spend $19 million on an awesome interior offensive lineman.
Amen.
The Rock knows how you feel about pie.
All right, final slice.
Yeah, final slice. Sammy D, come on down. 60%. 60%. I mean, I don't know how you look at this game and not put more than half of it on the quarterback and his inability to hit his guys in stride, find the right read, throwing passes high. It was definitely a tight grip. It felt we didn't get the Kirk, hands over the ears trying to get the play calls in, but there was nerves there. And
we did a couple times actually.
Did he do this?
Yeah, he literally.
I didn't notice it.
We did have that a couple times.
Oh,
yeah,
God.
it was very
It was
reminiscent.
loud in there. It was loud. Hard to hear the encouragement from KO on the sideline.
And I think he had some quotes like losing sucks, but like we got to be looking at the playoff game. So it kind of felt like either he wasn't ready for this game or that I don't want to say didn't take this game seriously because I don't know that. But it just felt like he didn't rise up to the occasion knowing that, hey, we're safe. We're going to the playoffs regardless, but you need a better performance than that, man. That's a stinker. That's one of the all-time bad quarterback games we've seen in a long time from a Vikings QB. He gets the biggest chunk of pie, so 60% to Sam Darnold.
Or was this next level chess? And Kevin O'Connell said, "Yeah, well, you know what? We'll take the risk of playing Wild Card Weekend to not put things on tape because we know we're facing these guys for a third time."
I think, yeah, in Sammy's case, he took it too seriously. Like, I don't think there's any doubt that dude was prepared, that he was set to go. And I think you spend all day, you wait all day if you're a player for Sunday night, FYI.
Yeah.
Thanks,
And he got out there, and I think he saw the bright lights, and it intimidated him. Like, there's nothing, I have no doubt about his preparation, about his, desire to compete. But I think that this is what happens sometimes when you take a guy who is a tremendous athlete, but maybe can't process things as quickly. Like, that's what makes this position so tough, right? Because you ideally are this gifted athletic specimen. You can throw the ball. Ideally, you can run, but you also have the ability in your mind to slow the game down. Like, I think that's what Sam lacks. I don't think he lacks any God-given physical ability. I think what he lacks is the back end, which is can you slow a game like last night down when pressure is on, because it's on you. KO, in that case, cannot come off the sideline and, hold your hand. And I think that was the problem.
And the answers to the test, so to speak, are baked in pre-snap usually. And that's what was kind of baffling. They showed some of the all-22 stuff, and I've seen some early evaluations on social media here too, where it's like there was either a lack of answers against the Lions' blitzes, which is odd because Sam Darnold has cooked blitzes all year. No quarterback had a higher passer rating against the blitz coming into this game than Sam Darnold, a 130.5 passer rating against the blitz. So whether it's Darnold making decisions or KOC baking answers into the scheme, they've been great at this all year. And last night they were terrible at it.
Yep.
So either KOC didn't provide enough answers to the test, and or Sam Darnold wasn't going through the answers quick enough pre-snap and once the ball was snapped.
And let me throw this too. So I do think, and I'm going to start this off by being very clear. I am not saying that the Lions had a bounty on Sam's head, okay? But don't forget, Dan Campbell plays the game, and if I'm not mistaken, was on the 2009 Saints.
Mm-hmm.
I think the difference is this. It's one thing to blitz. Okay, we're going to bring pressure. It's another thing to do what the Lions do, which is instill your will and kick your ass. Sam Darnold got hit a lot. Like, they weren't just blitzing, they were following through. The Lions play consistently on the edge. Like, there were times last night where flags could have been thrown and they weren't. but they are going to physically do what San Francisco did to a very different Vikings team in 2019. I thought that team was soft. I don't think this team is soft, but they beat them up because it's almost playoff time, or it's playoff time. So I think the difference in Darnold freaking out also had to do with the fact that they weren't just blitzing, they were following through. They were in his face. They wanted to hurt him if they could. I think that takes what we're talking about up a big notch, and the answer is, can you respond to that?
No.
The Rock knows how you feel about pie.
So there it is. There's Dex's pie chart. 60% to Sam Darnold. Probably the biggest chunk of pie that's been handed out all season.
Yeah.
On the praises
Ever?
or the blames.
I think. I mean,
trying to remember.
It sits up
60%.
there.
yeah. I don't think I've
It's
ever
up there.
gone much above 30 or 40.
And I don't, because I like to give out a lot of slices.
like to give
of
out
pie.
prime number pies.
7.3,
Yeah.
10.4.
Yep.
Try to
Yep.
land that math plane. So Darnold 60%, 10% to the interior offensive line, 10% to Kevin O'Connell, 10% to Will the Thrill, big leg Bill, medium leg Bill, inaccurate leg Bill, and 10% to TJ Hawkinson.
The Rock knows how you feel about pie.
Okay, when the Vikings win, we give you nitpicks. On the rare occasion that they lose, we give you silver linings, which we will here in a minute. But welcome Minnesota Rusco to Purple Daily for 2025. And thank you guys for supporting our sponsors and partners here. It keeps this a 365-day-a-year show. Minnesota Rusco, Minnesota's hometown remodeler since 1955. Almost 70 years of experience. You can count on Minnesota Rusco windows, doors, siding, bathrooms, kitchens, decks, roofing. And now is a great time to get in touch because it's their big 70th birthday sale. And to celebrate, they're giving you 70% off all labor, no interest, no monthly payments until 2027. So, maybe go to MinnesotaRusco.com, MinnesotaRusco.com, if you're looking to make your remodel a reality. And also Federated Insurance. We appreciate their partnership for another year of Purple Daily here, helping business owners like a great offensive line, protecting you, the quarterback of your business. They focus on safety, preventing claims, and risk management so you can focus on growing your business. They have a history that goes back to 1904, based in Minnesota, but a presence in all 50 states. So wherever you are consuming as a business owner, check out their website, federatedinsurance.com, where you can see a full list of industries that they specialize in. Federated, where it's our business to protect yours. All right, Judley, give us a silver lining.
Well, despite the final score, mine is this. I thought the defense played well. I think they got tired, and I think that the fourth quarter was disappointing because of that. But they had given up 10 points by the half. 10 points. This team scores 30-plus points. If I'm correct on this, the Lions came into the game averaging an NFL best 33.3 points per game. 10 points in the first half. Through 3 quarters of play, 17 points. The defense put the offense in a position for 3 quarters to win this game. And look, if the offense had capitalized, the fourth quarter is different. The game got away eventually, but I have a hard time finding fault with Brian Flores and his defense for that. So my silver lining is actually the fact the Vikings went into Detroit, played against a very good offensive team, and I thought represented themselves pretty damn well. And it's really, really too bad that the offensive side of the ball didn't help them out.
Yeah. Dex, where are you?
Yeah, I have some Lions fans chirping me because I said after the first possession in the second half, when the Vikings went down and once again weren't able to find 6 points after getting the ball after halftime, that the Vikings are beating themselves and the Lions aren't beating the Vikings. Well, a bunch of Lions fans have found that tweet and are just assuming I sent that like at the end of the game, which I did not. Hashtag context matters.
This is why tweeting in-game is dangerous, because the algorithm doesn't care
Lions
when
fans,
that was tweeted.
Lions fans have become very touchy, though, and it's like, you guys just enjoy it. You sucked forever.
Yeah, they're awfully haughty. Just, you guys had a 17-point lead in the NFC Championship game and didn't even get to the Super Bowl. Just
I put out
calm
a tweet,
down a little bit.
I put out a tweet a week ago about them, and like they found it, and this huge brawl started. And I got out of it. I'm like, it was a tweet about the Lions. I don't care about your team. And by the way,
no, but they care. They care that you're talking
I know,
smack.
but for years and years you sucked. Just get off Twitter, go away, and enjoy this.
Enjoy it.
But they're feeling their way through this. They're trying to figure out how to be relevant in fan conversation.
But it's like they're going through trying to find mentions of their team, and if they're not positive, it's like, for a long time, there was no reason to even talk about your team. So just back off, enjoy it, stand down, and we'll get back to you at some point in time.
A silver lining for me, though, Vikings defense continues to force turnovers. I mean, the Vikings won the turnover battle. They forced 2 turnovers. Jared Goff had 2 picks. They did their job even after they stalled out there in that first possession. And the second half, Harrison Smith basically gets a gimme interception because there was a misassignment there on the deep ball from Jared Goff. And they still can't capitalize on that. Like, obviously, you win the turnover battle. What is it? I would say 80 to 90% of the time you're going to win the game. So this is one of the rare instances where the Vikings win the turnover battle and they don't win the game.
Yeah, that's the thing. Like, if you would have said, hey, it was a +2, right? It was
+2.
It was a +2?
Yeah.
Do you think the Vikings win or lose that game? I think you would have said, they
probably won
that game.
They gave them the ball on the pace pick at the 7-yard line of the Lions. Like, think about that. The Vikings took over the ball at the 7-yard line and couldn't score a touchdown.
Yeah.
The two plays that, if it's different in that game, and they could have been, were if Pace had scored, which there was an off chance, and if Akers could have gotten the rest of that 58-yard run. But it's a damn shame when if Cam Akers could have just scored on what I think would have been like a 70-yard run. It's like, that is a lot to ask of a guy with not 1 but 2 torn Achilles tendons.
Yeah, just praying for those things to hang on.
Keep going.
Man,
Keep going, Cam. Keep going.
You got this. Another hot take. I think there's a better chance Cam Akers is back with the Vikings than Aaron Jones, because I think Aaron Jones is going to want starting running back money again. I could see Vikings drafting a running back, depending on what their draft capital is.
Yes, keep Cam.
He's a good backup.
Yeah,
he's reliable enough.
And for the 3rd consecutive year, I don't want you to have to trade a draft pick for him, because inevitably you will go get him back. So this time, just keep him.
Yeah, if it's how many 5th-round picks do you have to give up to get Cam Akers again? Man. I mean, I get my silver lining I kind of gave you off the top with the hottest take, which is everyone's freaking out, overreacting. So I'll kind of add to this. I think it's terrible that you now have to go on the road and play an extra game compared to what could have been if you won that game. So there's no silver lining. If your goal is to win the Super Bowl, losing yesterday negatively impacts your ability to win the Super Bowl. But there's also something to be said for carrying a 9 or a 10-game winning streak and the grind of continuing to win and win and win. Does this loss almost jar you and reset you in a good way? That, okay, all right, guys, winning streak is over. We're no longer riding high. We just got a total reality check. We all have to just lock it down and go back to the drawing board here, focus in even more. Could this be a blessing in disguise on that front? And it snaps you right back into it. Now, of course, like if you would have won, you could have had a week to just exhale anyways. A bye week would have been nice. You don't get the bye week. But maybe this snaps their focus back into place. Darnold gets the big game jitters. He hasn't played in big games in the NFL. Gets the big game jitters out quickly, and now he starts to operate just like he did, the week prior. That's my silver lining.
Yeah. Unfortunately, I think their focus was absolutely fine. Like, I sense nothing about that team that was uptight or lacked.
Well, the quarterback
kind of confirmed
super
it. I feel
uptight.
like. Yeah.
No, but I'm saying during the week. But then they went into that game and he melted down. So that my problem is, I don't think that this was a problem of preparation or the 9-game streak had gone to their heads or anything like that. I just think that the quarterback melted down.
Yeah. So to simplify it, if the quarterback can avoid melting down and go back to playing the way that he was playing for 2 months prior, you can still make a run here. But
Yeah.
Your season rests on Sam Darnold at this point. And you've gotten this far because he's played his ass off, but you need him to continue playing that way, or it's going to be a short trip down and back to Los Angeles.
But like you said, the one good thing is better for this to show itself now. Much better. So now there's no temptation of, we should give him a 3-year contract. Like this is, if you needed clarity, I feel last night provided some very important clarity. And there's no question that I think the plan remains and is McCarthy. And yes, folks, you could say he might have melted down last night too. I don't know. But I would rather that they stick with the plan because of what they saw last night than to have Sam play great. Last night, show up opening day of 2025 and basically big contract. That's what, causes him to melt down.
The meltdown can't carry over in the same way. If you're going to lose to the Rams, make it look nice offensively so that he holds value going into the offseason.
Yeah, this is another
because it's to you kind of touched on this, but like if he stacks another one of these and it's like, oh man, the lasting impression is of Jets Sam Darnold. These last 2 games were reminiscent of Jets Sam Darnold.
Yep.
If you tag him, can you get a 2nd-round pick in a trade, or will teams be like, you know what?
You keep.
I still think his body of work is going to override a couple bad games at the end of the year, but it would be much more beneficial for the Vikings if they're going to get beat for him to still go out.
Just make it look good?
Looking strong. Make it look good. Yep.
Lipstick on a pig.
Yep. So, all right, those are the hottest takes. The pie chart of blame, little Packer vent line in there too. And we'll have a full slate of shows all week long. And obviously with the Vikings playing on Monday night, we have to wait all through the weekend here. But the playoffs are here. It may not feel like it after what happened last night, but the Vikings are in. The Vikings are playing the Rams again, and we're pumped to talk about it all week long here. We just want the Vikings to win a Super Bowl before we die, and their journey will start out west.